You live in an age that believes memory can be preserved forever. Data can be copied, images can be saved, and maps can mark almost every place humans have ever passed through. But history does not work that simply. Some structures are large enough to survive for thousands of years, yet their true meaning can still disappear from human memory. On a hill in southeastern Turkey, archaeologists found such a place. More than 12,000 years ago, before cities, writing, or metal tools existed, a group of people raised massive stone pillars, nearly 18 feet tall. They appeared almost 7,000 years before the Egyptian pyramids. Carved into the stone surfaces are snakes, foxes, wild boars, birds, and symbols that still have not been fully decoded. That place is called Göbekli Tepe. The people who built it left behind no names, no books, and no explanations. What remains is only stone, carvings, and a vast gap in our understanding. And that gap forces us to ask again, if hunter-gatherers could create this structure, then how deeply have we misunderstood early humans? Göbekli Tepe does not only raise questions about construction techniques, it touches on something deeper. What motivation drove early humans to come together and create a place so large? Did they build it for worship? For remembrance? For seasonal gatherings? Or to preserve a story their community did not want to lose? The modern world may call this place a temple, a ritual center, or a gathering site, but perhaps no word is truly precise enough, because the biggest question is not simply who built Göbekli Tepe. It is this: did human civilization truly begin when people started farming and building cities, or did it begin earlier, from the need to believe together in something greater than themselves? Imagine you are standing on that hill around 9600 BC. Around you, there are no cities, no roads, no writing, no wheels, and no metal tools. There is only open land, dry wind, limestone, wild animals, and small groups of people living by hunting and gathering. In that world, humans often moved from place to place in search of food and water. They had not built cities yet, and they had not left behind books to explain their lives. But on this hill, they did something very different. They separated large blocks of stone from the ground, carved them into pillars nearly 18 feet tall, and then raised them into orderly circles. At the center stood two larger pillars, facing each other like two silent human figures. On the stone, they carved images of snakes, foxes, birds, and many other wild animals. This place did not look like an ordinary dwelling. It looked like a special site, where people gathered to perform rituals, share memories, and feel that they belonged to a larger community. For a long time, we often imagined the history of civilization as following a very clear order. Humans learned how to farm, and then stayed in one place for longer periods of time. From small groups, they gradually created villages. As the population grew, communities developed into cities. Only after that did temples, religion, laws, and more complex forms of social organization appear. This explanation sounds reasonable, because agriculture gave humans a stable food supply. When they no longer had to constantly move in search of food, they had time to build, worship, exchange goods and ideas, and manage their communities. But Göbekli Tepe makes that story no longer simple. This site appeared very early, before fully developed cities, and long before writing was invented. The people who created it left behind no clear evidence of a state, a large urban center, or a system of rule like those seen in later civilizations. Even so, they were still able to gather people, quarry stone, raise pillars, carve symbols, and create a space with a clear purpose. That suggests that spiritual life may have played a greater role than we once thought. Perhaps humans gathered around rituals before they built cities. Perhaps belief, shared memory, and the need to belong to a community helped lay the foundation for civilization. Göbekli Tepe is located near the city of Şanlıurfa in southeastern Turkey. In the 1990s, major excavations began to reveal a site very different from the usual image of hunter-gatherer life. What appeared beneath the soil was not the trace of a simple campsite. Archaeologists found stone circles arranged with clear intention, massive T-shaped stone pillars, and many animal carvings on the surface of the limestone. Some of the pillars stood nearly 18 feet tall and weighed several tons. To create them, ancient people had to separate stone from a nearby quarry, shape it, transport it to the construction site, and then raise it according to a specific layout. These details show that Göbekli Tepe was not a random product. It required planning, labor, technical skill, and a shared purpose, strong enough for many people to take part. What is especially notable is that there is still no clear evidence showing that this place was once an ordinary village. For that reason, many researchers view Göbekli Tepe as a special gathering or ritual site. After a period of use, part of the structure appears to have been intentionally buried. If this interpretation is correct, Göbekli Tepe was not simply left behind. It may have been brought to an end in a meaningful way. So what did the people who built Göbekli Tepe truly know? First, they understood how to turn scattered labor into a shared action. One person could carve stone, but to build an entire complex like this, many people had to believe that the work was worth doing. They also possessed an astonishing level of stoneworking skill. From choosing the right limestone block, separating it from the ground, shaping it into a T-shaped pillar, and then bringing it to the construction site, every step required experience and coordination. But the most difficult part to understand is not the technique, it is the meaning. The images of snakes, foxes, birds, and wild animals on the stone pillars do not look like random decoration. They may have been connected to stories, beliefs, fears, or shared memories of the community. The problem is that no one still knows exactly what they once meant. That is the kind of knowledge most easily lost. Knowledge that does not exist in books, but lives in oral stories, rituals, songs, seasonal gatherings, and the way people pass memory on to one another. When one generation still performs the ritual, the meaning continues to exist. When the next generation remembers only part of it, the symbols begin to fade. And when no one tells the story anymore, the structure still stands there, but the message inside it has become almost silent. Therefore, Göbekli Tepe not only shows that ancient people knew how to build, it also reminds us that human knowledge can disappear without being destroyed. It's just that no one remembers how to pass it on anymore. Why Göbekli Tepe gradually disappeared from human memory remains a question with no clear answer. Some researchers believe that life in the region changed as agriculture became more developed. As humans began to settle more permanently and form stable communities, the older ways of gathering may no longer have held the same importance as before. There is also a theory that the rituals practiced here came to an end, or that the beliefs once connected to this place were gradually replaced by new forms. What is especially notable is that many areas of Göbekli Tepe appear to have been intentionally buried rather than destroyed by war or natural disaster. That has led some archaeologists to believe that the very people who used this place closed it off in their own way. But whatever the cause, Göbekli Tepe did not disappear completely from the world. The stone pillars remained underground for thousands of years. What truly disappeared was its meaning. And sometimes, forgetting is more frightening than destruction. A place can still exist almost intact, while no one remembers why it once mattered. Göbekli Tepe does not only force us to look back at the past, it also makes you think about the very age you are living in. Modern humans believe that today's memories will be hard to lose. We have the internet, satellites, videos, digital data, and countless ways to record everyday life. Because of that, the present world gives us the feeling that everything important will be preserved. But memory does not only need to be recorded, it also needs to be understood. If one day storage systems collapse, languages change, or today's technology can no longer be used, the traces we leave behind may become unfamiliar to future generations. They may find buildings, symbols, devices, and roads, but they may not fully understand the meaning behind them. At that point, we too could become another Göbekli Tepe. Not because modern humans are simple or underdeveloped, but because any civilization, no matter how large, can be misunderstood when it loses the key to decode itself. Göbekli Tepe does not only force history to adjust its timeline, it changes the way we ask questions about civilization. Perhaps the beginning of civilization was not only about humans learning how to farm, store food, or build permanent homes. Those things were very important, but they may not be the whole story. Before there were cities, humans already knew how to gather. Before there was writing, they already knew how to create symbols. Before there were states, they already had rituals powerful enough to draw many groups of people to the same place. So the greatest mystery of Göbekli Tepe is not only who built it, or how they raised those stone pillars. The deeper question is, What memory did they want to preserve for their community? Today, we can still see the stone, the carvings, and the layout of the structure. But the true meaning behind them has slipped out of human memory. And perhaps that is the final line of Göbekli Tepe. History is not only what remains. Sometimes, history is what humans have forgotten how to read. Thank you for watching until the end. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and see you in the next video.